All right, we are going to start with problem 3.1. I am going to read the the background part of it to you, just so that you kind of understand what's going on in this problem. That's on page 55, which is not what I'm showing you here, but I'm going to read it to you verbally. So it says, the math department at Everett Middle School sponsors a contest called the Number Relay Race. A number line measured in meters is drawn on the school field. Each team has 5 runners. Runners 1, 3, and 5 stand at the negative 50 meter line. Runners 2 and 4 stand at the 50 meter line. For team 1, Han starts and runs from negative 50 to positive 50. He tags Aurelia. Aurelia runs back from positive 50 to negative 50. She tags Dwayne. So basically they're running back and forth. Dwayne runs from negative 50 to positive 50. He tags Tori. Tori runs from positive 50 to negative 50. She tags Pascal. Pascal runs from negative 50 to the finish line at position 0. Team 2 does the same with its 5 runners. Both teams line up on the same number line and start the race at the same time. The team whose final runner reaches the 0 point first wins. So, now looking at problem A, it says, write and solve a number sentence for each situation. Use positive numbers for running speeds to the right and use negative numbers for running speeds to the left. Use positive numbers for time in the future and use negative numbers for time in the past. Note, each runner runs at a constant speed. So, problem A, number 1, part A, says Han passes the 0 point running 5 meters, so positive 5, per second to the right. Where will he be 6 seconds later? So 5 meters per second. Where will he be 6 seconds later? So this is second 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you count them all up, it would be 30. Meters. But there is an easier way, I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, to do this. We know that repeated addition, we can do multiplication. So it's positive 5 that we're working with, right? But we know that's a multiplication symbol, that there are 6 of them. And we know that positive 5 times 6 of them would be positive 30. So this is kind of like what they're trying to get you to see, is that repeated addition can be turned into multiplication for a faster, easier way to do things. The second one says, Aurelia passes the 0 point running to the left at 6 meters per second. Where will she be 8 seconds later? So she's going that direction. So she's going to be going more into negative land. So you can kind of do this however you want. Like you could do -6, or you could do, she's still running, moving, but she's moving -6 per seconds. So we have to do 8 seconds. So we need 8 of them, which is like, I know you're probably thinking to yourself, this is ridiculous. I already understand what I'm supposed to do, but I have to do this anyway. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So if you were to count all of those up, what do you get? Think to your brain, and you get -48 meters. Yes, you could have done -6 times 8 of them, and you would still get -48 meters. C, feel free to work ahead of me if you want to. That's what this video is for, so that you can basically pause it, do it, check, and then watch it to see if you got the right answer. So it says Dwayne passes the 0 point running 4 meters per second to the right. So now we're doing +4. Where was he 6 seconds earlier? So now we have to think about going back in time, even though he's running to the right. So basically, even though you kind of have to think about like directionality here. So they're starting at 0 and they're running to the right, but they're asking you where were they before that period of time. So you're going back in time. So in fact, you are going to be starting at 0 and then you're going to be going back in time for 6 seconds earlier. So then we need 6 of them. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to end up with -24 meters. And then you could have done instead 6 times -4, which would also be -24 meters. Part D, Tori passes the 0 point running to the left at 5 meters per second. Where was she 7 seconds earlier? So again, we're going back this way because it's talking about earlier. So again, we're starting at 0, and then she's going back. We are going back in time, but they're going to the left. Back in time, but they're going to the left, which is negative, right? Because they told us to do negative for left. So then you're going to have to do this 7 times. If you're thinking to yourself, why doesn't she just do the multiplication? That's literally because they want you to be so irritated that you're like, yes, okay, multiplication. Yes, let's do that. 4, 5, 6, 7. They want you to not want to do this, basically. Which would be, if you remember, these cancel each other out. So it's basically 5 times 7, which would be 35 meters, or 7 of them times, no, you're going back 7 in the past, and then the -5, which would be +35 meters. Now, you may be thinking, well, but they're both negative. They cancel each other out, opposites, or not opposites, but two negatives make a positive. So -7 times -5 equals +35. If you don't believe me, check your calculator. All right, so moving on to part B. Coleman wants to use red and black chips to model the relay race. He draws the following chipboard to represent Aurelia's part of the race. How does this chipboard relate to your work on Aurelia's part of the relay race? Oh wait, I skipped number 2. Oh, brother. Sorry. I got excited and moved ahead. Okay, just kidding. A2 says, determine whether the answer to each situation in part 1 is to the left or to the right of 0. So the solution here is to the right, which would be a positive. Oh, okay, sorry. Monday. B is to the left because it's negative. Yep. C is also negative, so it's going to be to the left. And then D is positive, so it's going to be to the right. Now on to part B. So again, looking at the picture there in part B that you can see, how does it relate to the work for Aurelia's part of the relay race, which would be part B from this one right here, this one. So if you compare them, if you look, so each, you would say something like each chip is a group of -6 that represents the distance with direction. That's what those, the positive and negatives are. That's telling you the direction, right or left, right? Traveled. That's not how you spell that word. Oh man, you guys, it's a day. Traveled by Aurelia in 1 second. So hopefully that kind of makes sense to you. Basically, you know, it has distance with direction and it's going by 1 second, and each 1 second is -6. So we will do part C and D together in class.